Hey everyone, welcome back. So today is Monday. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend and we're off to the races. Obviously the markets were up a little bit today. Bitcoin was way down, but it bounced a little bit. So we'll take a look at obviously Bitcoin, the markets, Ethereum, see what's going on there. We'll also take a look at this week, or not this week in Bitcoin miners, but we'll take a look at how the miners performed today. We'll also get into a news story from Bitfarms. They have actually pretty good news, but they're still not getting the love that I think they should get. And then we'll take a look at the miners versus miners in this video as well. The only thing to this is Soluna and Mawson have not provided their August updates yet. So those numbers are basically like in the toilet right now for those guys. But if they provide any updates going forward in this week, I'll do a little quick update video on the miners versus miners, see where they actually ended up at. But right now they're in the can. And that's it. As always, not financial advice. You guys know the drill here. I'm invested in following coins and companies. This is for entertainment only. Do your own research as always. And if you enjoy this type of content, please consider subscribing, hitting the like button. Helps the video get out to more people. And let's get into the information here. So S&P 500 was actually up today 0.69%. Dow Jones was up 0.68%. NASDAQ was up 0.76% today, which was obviously pretty good. So we're doing okay in the markets. Let's take a look at Bitcoin and the miners. So Bitcoin is a little bit worrying here. I'm looking at the 1 hour chart right now. Bitcoin's at 19,445. It is below our support here at 19,500 roughly. It has been battling with it here. You can see it basically yesterday. And then during the night, it basically fell and it bounced off of our trend line that we drew a while back a little bit here. And it's been bouncing off of it. And we're back to above, or now we're below support where we were above it. But here's the concerning part of it. RSI has at 54 right now. Last time we were at this price, the RSI was down to the oversold territory. This leads me to believe that we are going to be falling even more in the coming hours, days, possibly on Bitcoin right now. If we look at the daily chart, you can see here that we came down to our trend line here that's been drawn. We've been battling with it here in the past as well. We got above it here on the 9th of September, and we stayed above it. Obviously, once the news came out on the CPI data, we crashed hard on that day, and we've been falling ever since then. We also have obviously the FOMC meeting this week. We'll see what the interest rate is going to be like, how much they're going to raise it, whether it's going to be 75 basis points or 50 basis points. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be 50 basis points. There is some possibility that it could go up to 100 basis points though. But we'll have to see what that data comes out. If it's 50 basis points, well, that's going to be a bullish sign possibly for the markets, not only for the markets, but for Bitcoin as well. We might bounce off of here. But right now, the way it's looking, it's not looking great, at least on the 1 hour chart. On the 4 hour chart, if we look at it too as well, we can see that we have obviously come down here, and RSI is obviously about this, almost the same. Almost, I would say almost. It's definitely lower here, and the price was over here. We've come down in price with the RSI here, so that's not a good sign on the 4 hour chart either. Ethereum was down also today to 1,360. It obviously followed suit with Bitcoin here, so we're looking at the 4 hour chart. Let's look at the 1 hour chart. We can see here the price has obviously come back up, but so has the RSI. Last time the RSI was at this level, we were right around here, which was much higher in price. We were around 1,459, so about $100 higher in price, and we're coming down. So I think we're going to be going down lower with Ethereum and Bitcoin here in the next couple hours, couple days possibly, depending on what the FOMC meeting is like. So that's Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's take a look at the miners here really quick as well. Any was down today 1.03% to 58 cents. Argo was up 6.05% to 42 cents. Digital was up 5.51% to $1.34. Bitfarms was basically flat on the day today. It did, look at the 1 hour chart, it did go down to a low of $1.18. It's not the lowest it's been here so far. Going down, CleanSpark was down 5.35% to $3.54. We've been continuing going down, which is surprising considering that they are expanding quite rapidly here. Cores was down 7.78% to $1.66. Digihost was flat today to 85 cents. DMG was down 3.8% to 21 cents. Greenage was up 0.47% to $2.16. And Hive was up 0.95% to $4.27. Hot 8 was down 1.03% to $1.92. Iris Energy was way down today to down 14.43% to $4.33. Luxfolio was up 5.37% to 6 cents. Marathon was down 0.46% to $10.87. Mawson was down 12.57% to 53 cents. They've been going down here. Like I said, Mawson hasn't provided their August update yet. For me, there's absolutely no reason why they shouldn't be able to provide their August update within a timely manner. It's 20 days into the month of September already. They should have gotten this done within the first 2 weeks like everybody else. So that's not a good sign. Riot down 1.88% to $6.52. Soluna down 9.55% to $1.80. Same thing with Soluna. They should have provided this information by now. It's not that hard to get the information. And Stronghold was up 4.03% to $1.29. So those are the miners there. Let's take a look at some of the news here. Next Bitcoin halving is going to be in 547 days. We're counting down. We're waiting for it. Hopefully once we get to about 180 to maybe 270 days, somewhere around there, we may start finally going back up. But we'll have to see, obviously, how that plays out. All right, so Bitfarms. Hash rate exceeds 4 exahash milestone. Excuse me. As it commences production at its first warehouse in Argentina. So this is obviously really good news. And they were flat today, obviously, in the markets. So here's the gist of it. So hash rate exceeded the 4 exahash per second milestone as it commenced production at its first of 2 50 megawatt warehouses under development in Argentina. The initial startup adds 10 megawatts of capacity, increasing total corporate capacity to 176 megawatts, which is good. Throughout the remainder of Q3 2022 and during Q4, the company plans to light up additional 10 megawatt increments with a goal of the entire 50 megawatt being energized by December 31st, 2022. So that is fantastic news right there. And like I said, they've been actually doing really well as far as growing, and I'm surprised that the stock hasn't been performing better than it is right now. Additionally, adjacent to the first facility, we commenced construction at our second 50 megawatt warehouse, which we continue to expect to complete around the beginning of Q2 of 2023. So we're about 9 months out from that. With attractive electricity pricing established last year under an 8-year private party power contract, both facilities are expected to lower overall energy costs for our portfolio despite rising commodity costs in the energy market. So this is really good news that they're able to do that. The initial production in our new farm in Rio Cuarto, I think I'm pronouncing that right, combined with refinements at some of our Quebec and Washington farms also pushed actual production past 4.1. So that's basically, let's take a look at where they are right now. I think they're at 3.9. So it's basically 200 petahash being added in within the last basically 2 weeks. Well, almost 3 weeks now because we're at September 20th. So almost within the first 3 weeks, getting an extra 200 petahash. They have been increasing almost 200 petahash here for the past 3 months. We did only have 103 petahash in August, but prior to that, we were at basically 200 petahash increases June and July, which is really good. We had a really good increase in April of 607 petahash and in March 363. So they've been constantly growing and expanding. Their Bitcoin has been also increasing to 534. And like I said, I'm just surprised that the market isn't, the price isn't showing it in their performance. I mean, they started out 2.3 at the beginning of the year. They are almost now double where they are right now. So huge accomplishment for them there. So like I said, I'm just surprised that the stock isn't doing a lot better on Bitfarms. Full disclosure, I do own Bitfarms stock. So also, in 2021, Bitfarms contracted with a private power company in Argentina to supply up to 210 megawatts to Bitfarms for warehouses being developed beside and on the site property as the generating facilities. For the first 4 years, electrical costs are calculated based on a formula in which the cost of power is based on a combination of market-based pricing and at a base rate of 2.2 cents per kilowatt. So that's actually pretty low. So following an initial startup period and based on current foreign currency exchange rates and natural gas prices in Argentina, the cost of the power in Rio Cuarto is expected to be the lowest in Bitfarms' portfolio, creating a significant advantage. So that's fantastic news there. And that is it. So just want to provide you guys with that information there. And let's take a look at the miners versus miners now. So the miners metrics, here we go. Got to go all the way up to the top. So we're basing them on 7 metrics and 5 metrics. Basically, the 7 metrics include also the current debt ratio and debt to equity ratios, which are provided in their latest quarterly results. So everybody has provided that. So those are all up to date now. So we're dealing with the numbers from basically the end of June for all of these guys here. So we do this in two ways. We grade them on the 7 metrics, and we also grade them on the 5 metrics that don't include the current ratio and the debt equity ratio. It's just basically how do they perform month over month, and basically year to date. And we're looking at month over month hash rate growth, year to date hash rate growth, year to date hash rate growth added. So this is a percentage for the first one. And then Bitcoins per peta hash, we're looking at that as well. And then obviously current ratio and debt to equity ratio are in the 7 metrics. So looking at the numbers here on the first chart, we can see month over month percentage hash rate growth. Higher is obviously better. Marathon came in number 1. They increased quite nicely here. Obviously in August, had a 357% increase from where they were. Obviously they were down to like 700 peta hash because of problems with their hardened facility. So that got them down quite a bit, but they were able to energize some of the miners that were done by Compute North. They had them ready and waiting to get final approval and tax exemption. They finally got that. They were able to energize the miners, so that obviously got them to like 3.2 exahash, I think. If we look at it, Marathon, where are they at right now? They are at 3.2 exahash right now. Next was Iris. Iris was up 89% month over month. Followed by CleanSpark was up 17.5%. Then Core Scientific was up 16.42%. Riot was up 14%. DMG was up 12%. Argo was up 12%. Bitfarms was up only 2%. Hut 8 was up 2%. Hive was up 1.57%. BitDigital was flat. Digihost was basically flat. Sphere was flat. And then Greenwich was actually down 11.12% for some reason. I think it was because of their curtailment. And so they were getting rid of some miners as well in that. And then obviously Moss and Solana did not provide any numbers, so they're basically negative 100% right there. So they're getting discounted, way discounted for that. Next is year-to-date hash rate percentage growth. So we're looking at the beginning of the year and where they are now. Iris has grown the most, 173%, followed by BitDigital, 138%, then Argo, 120%, then Greenwich, 72%, Core Scientific up 69%, Bitfarms is up 67%, CleanSpark up 65%, DMG up 53%, Digihost up 43%, Hut 8 is up 39%, Riot is up 39%, Hive is up 23%, Sphere is basically flat, and then we got Marathon that's still down a little bit from where they started the year at, but that should be probably increasing this month along with next month as long as they get everything energized. So they should be back above that going forward. And obviously Soluna, Marathon, and Mawson, we don't have the information for them, so they're negative 100% there. So I graded them evenly here. I gave them the same. I think it was a score of 15. For these, the ones that have the best, I get a 1. You know, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, on to 16 basically. But since these guys did not provide anything, we're giving them a score of 15 basically for both of those. Total year-to-date peta hash, Total year-to-date peta hash growth. We're looking at Core Scientific. Obviously, 5 exahash is huge. Obviously, the concern with Core Scientific is their debt, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But followed that is Bitfarms is up 1.5 exahash, almost 1.6. Then we got Iris at 1.4, and then we got Argo at 1.3, Riot at 1.3, CleanSpark at 1.3 as well. I mean, obviously 1.365, 1.351, and 1.341. Greenwich was up 1 exahash, Hut 841 petahash, BitDigital 633, Hive 431 petahash, DMG 267 petahash, Digihost 182. And then Marathon is obviously down 270 petahash from where they started. Soluna obviously didn't provide anything, so they're down 365. They basically got a 0 for their current petahash. So that's why that's coming up that way. Mawson, same thing. Then we got BTC per peta hash, so higher is better. So the way we're doing this is we're calculating the hash rate that they provided at the end of the month of August with what they actually mined. So with Hive, it's actually their BTC equivalent combination, because they were mining GPUs with GPUs and ASIC miners. Now, as obviously GPU mining for Ethereum is done with, they are probably going to be coming down here. I don't know exactly where they're going to land, but we'll find out after the September numbers. They are obviously going to be able to mine Ethereum for 14 days or so in September. So it's going to be a little bit skewed. I think October numbers are going to be more realistic as far as what the expectations are for them going forward. But Hive was the most efficient there at 0.1394, followed by Bitfarms at 0.1368. Then you got Iris at 0.1365, BitDigital at 0.1332, Sphere at 0.278, Hut 8 at 0.1258, followed by Greenwich at 0.1254. Then CleanSpark at 0.1162. Digihost 0.1138. Core at 1051. Argo at 0.0940. DMG at 0.09. Riot at 0.07. And Riot is obviously down because they were shutting down miners for curtailment to provide electricity back to the grid, but they did get a credit on that. I think it was valued at, valued about $3 million or something like that. Marathon 0.0575, and that's because they were only mining for a portion of the month in August with their full 3.2 exahash. Soluna and Mawson obviously at 0 here. Now when we look at debt to equity ratio, lower is better on this one. And we can see here Sphere 3D came in at 0.023, which is the best, followed by BitDigital at 0.048, CleanSpark at 0.091, Riot at 0.115, Hut 8 at 0.125, Digihost 0.183, Iris at 0.183. So those guys are kind of tied here. Hive 0.228, Soluna at 0.388, Bitfarms at 0.412, DMG 0.412. So those guys are tied. Argo at 0.839, Mawson at 0.896, Marathon at 1.152, Greenidge at 2.106, and a Core 3.917. So obviously this is a concern for us with Core, the amount of debt that they have, along with Marathon as well, and Greenidge. Now current ratio, so this is current assets divided by current debt, higher is better. So this is how many times over they could basically pay their current debt with what they currently have in assets. And BitDigital came in number 1. They could pay it out 16 times. Hut 8, 10 times over. Riot, almost 5 times. Marathon, 4 times over. Digihost, 3.8. Iris, pretty much the same at 3.8. Then you got Hive at 3.12. Argo, 2.1 times. CleanSpark, 1.4 times. Bitfarms, almost 3 times. And DMG is about the same as Bitfarms here. Sphere, 1.2. Core 0.99, so that's obviously concerning. Greenidge at 0.868, Soluna and Mawson are obviously here on the bottom. So that's why I'm a little concerned with these two guys here being able to pay their debt off, especially Mawson. Mawson sold a site to CleanSpark, obviously to get a little bit of cash, which was around 43 million for that transaction on that one. And then reported petahash left to install. We got Marathon at about 20 exahash left. Iris is at 13.8, but Iris, I'm hearing that they put a pause, or at least they're not paying for their additional 10 exahash that they're supposed to get. Is it 10? I believe so. I think it's 10 exahash. They put a pause, or they're not paying for it, so I don't know what's going to happen there. Once I get a little bit more clarification on that, that might be updated to where they are only going to be growing, a couple exahash here. So that's obviously going to drop them down a little bit. Riot, 8 exahash left. Sphere 3D, 5.9. Core Scientific, only about 4.5 exahash left. Bitfarms, 3.6. Greenidge, almost 2. BitDigital, 1.6. Hive, 1.6. Argo, 1.4. CleanSpark also 1.4. The thing with CleanSpark is that they did report their goal is to get to 22.4 exahash next year. Once they provide some information as far as what they're doing or what they're buying, that will obviously reflect in this here. The hash rates left to grow is going to increase. Obviously, put them up a little bit closer to that. Then you got Mawson at 1.2, almost 1.3. Hut at 600 petahash. Digihost at 547. DMG at 360. Soluna, we don't really know as far as what their plan is. So they're at 0 right now. And then, so based on the 7 metrics, miners graded includes current ratio and debt to equity ratio. So we're including obviously the quarterly results in this one to grade them. Iris came in at number 1 with the lowest score is better. So 24, followed by BitDigital at 37, Riot at 44, Bitfarms at 44 also. So those are tied. 47 for CleanSpark, Hut 8 at 53, Core at 54, Argo at 55, Hive at 57, Sphere at 61, Marathon at 62. Digihost at 67, Greenidge at 68, then DMG at 74, and then obviously Soluna Mawson at the very last. And now if we're just using the 5 metrics that are not including the current debt and current ratio and the debt to equity ratio, these are the numbers here. We get Iris at number 1. So they obviously came in at number 1 as well. And then we got Bitfarms at number 2 spot. at 24, Core at number 3 spot, BitDigital at number 4, CleanSpark number 5, Argo number 6, Riot number 7, Greenwich at number 8, Hive at number 9, Marathon number 10 spot, Hut at number 11, Sphere at number 12, DMG number 13, Digihost number 14, and then Moss and Solana in the last spot here on this. So I've been kind of talking about Iris a little bit here. It's one of those companies that looks promising to me, but given the fact that they might be basically putting a pause or are not going to be getting to the 13 or 15 exahash that they're planning on getting to, that might be obviously an issue there. But based on the metrics that we have right now, they're in the top miner right now. And where was I? Oh, it's here. And let's take a look at the individual metrics for each miner here. So we'll just go through these really quick. So obviously, Iris came in pretty low on everything here. That's why I think they came in at number 1 here. Our average line is right around 8, so we want to see miners being below that line as much as possible. Year to date, obviously, hash rate percentage growth was number 1. Month over month percentage hash rate was number 2 as well. Year to date hash rate increase was number 3. BTC per peta hash was number 3 spot. Current ratio was 6, 7, and 2. Next is BitDigital. So obviously BitDigital is a little high on, or low, I guess I got a low score on month over month hash rate growth, year to date hash rate growth, and it's about average on growth left per peta hash. It looks like they're about average on the miners. Did come in really good on obviously current ratio, debt to equity ratio for the quarter ended in June. And then year to date hash rate percentage growth has been pretty good as well, along with BTC per peta hash being number 4 spot. Next is Riot. Riot, obviously, BTC per peta hash has been pretty low, and that's based on their curtailment of electricity. So they're only mining for X amount of days. Obviously, that's having an impact on what they actually could be mining. Also, year-to-date percentage hash rate growth hasn't been that great. Month-over-month hash rate growth has been good, though. And year-to-date hash rate has been pretty good overall. Current ratio is pretty good. So is debt-to-equity ratio, and then growth left in number 3 spot. So pretty good there. Next is Bitfarms. Bitfarms month-over-month percentage hash rate growth average there came in the 6th spot on year-to-date hash rate growth. Year-to-date hash rate growth is number 2. BTC per peta hash, which is efficiency, which is really good. Number 2 spot. Current ratio is a little high. So is the debt equity ratio, and growth left number 6 spot. So overall pretty good. Next is CleanSpark. CleanSpark month-over-month percentage, number 3 spot. Year-to-date percentage hash rate, 7th spot. Year-to-date hash rate growth, number 6 spot. BTC about average between the miners here. Current ratio is a little high. 9th spot came in. Debt to equity was actually pretty good at number 3 spot. And then growth left was number 11 spot. So obviously once we get more numbers from them as far as what they're buying and how much they're buying of it, that should help them out with this one, I think. Next is Hut 8. Hut 8 obviously came in pretty good at current ratio, number 2 spot as well. BTC per peta hash was okay at 6 spot. Debt to equity ratio was pretty good, 5. Growth left, number 13, so not a lot of growth left, obviously. Month over month hash rate growth, percentage hash rate growth was, not great, below the average. Year to date percentage hash rate growth has been also high, and then obviously average on year to date hash rate growth for them. Next is Core Scientific. Core, obviously, year-to-date hash rate growth, number 1 spot. Month-over-month, number 4. Year-to-date, number 5th spot. Growth left, number 5. Obviously, the current ratio and the debt-to-equity ratio are concerning. Last spot for that one. And then BTC per peta hash, I think once they stop growing as fast as they are growing, that's going to possibly impact them as far as getting a better BTC per peta hash right now, because that is obviously having a little bit of an impact on that. Next is Argo. Argo, number 3 spot for year-to-date percentage hash rate growth. Year-to-date hash rate growth, number 4 spot. And then they were pretty much, current ratios about average. Debt-to-equity ratio was a little high. Growth left, 10th spot. BTC per peta hash is number 11 spot. Hive, BTC per peta hash, obviously number 1 there. The GPU mining helped them out tremendously to basically have this be almost like their monthly ranking here on them. Then when you look at month-over-month percentage hash rate growth, number 10 spot, year-to-date percentage hash rate growth, 12 spots, so they're obviously not growing that much. Hopefully once they get the ASIC miners from Intel, get those installed and everything else. That should hopefully help them out as well with those numbers. But current ratio is about average, 7 spot. Debt to equity ratio, number 8 spot. Growth left, number 9 spot. Next is Sphere 3D. So Sphere 3D is obviously not in good shape here as far as growth. They've been stuck at a 100 petahash here for, gosh, almost 9 months now, 8 months. Ever since they started, they're still waiting to get more miners in. BTC Per Peta Hash is pretty good, 5 spot there. Current ratio is a little high, 12. But debt to equity ratio is 1 right now. And then 1 spot, growth left, the 4 spots. So they obviously have quite a ways to grow still. Marathon came in at number 1 on month-over-month percentage hash rate. Year-to-date percentage hash rate, number 14 spot. Year-to-date hash rate, 14 spot. That's because they've had issues. They're finally starting to dig themselves out of this hole that they were in. And then BTC Per Peta Hash obviously should improve going forward, I would think. Current ratio is good at number 4 spot. Debt to equity ratio is pretty high, 14. That's concerning, obviously. And then growth left, number 1 spot as well. So they do have obviously a long ways to go still. Digihost, let me see. Digihost came in, let me see, I mean, pretty high on month-over-month percentage. Year-to-date percentage pretty high. Year-to-date hash rate was pretty high as well. 9 spot on BTC Per Peta Hash. Current ratio came in pretty good at about 5. Debt to equity ratio came in pretty good at 6. And then growth left pretty low, 14 spot. So that's not good. Next we got Greenidge. Greenidge is high up there on month-over-month percentage, current ratio, debt to equity ratio, and then about average on year-to-date hash rate growth. The only thing that was good for them was the year-to-date percentage hash rate growth, number 4 spot. And then growth left, number 7 spot, so not too bad there. DMG came in 6 at month-over-month percentage hash rate growth. Year-to-date percentage hash rate growth at 8 spot. Year-to-date hash rate growth, number 11 spot. And then BTC Per Peta Hash, obviously 12 spots, so that's not good, not very efficient. Current ratio, 11, and debt to equity ratio, 11 as well. So that's a little high up there as well. Growth left with Petahash, 50 spots, so they're not growing much at all, or at least not much left. And then we got obviously Soluna and Mawson, which basically didn't provide the numbers yet. So if they do provide the numbers, I'll update this really quick for you guys, and we'll do a quick video on that. But obviously, when looking at this, you can see that, let me see if I can zoom this out so we can get maybe both charts in to play here. Let's do 75%. There we go. So you can see obviously Iris came in at number 1 spot for both of these, the 7 metrics and the 5 metrics. Bitfarms came in also number 2 spot for both of them. Riot, BitDigital, CleanSpark came in the same way. Hut, Riot. Ooh, we got a change here. Core Scientific came in what is this? The 7th spot on the 7 metrics. But Core Scientific is, where are they at? Core is in the 3rd spot. So Riot's in the 3rd spot here on the 7 metrics because of the debt. I think the debt obviously hurts Core Scientific quite a bit here. Core came in better on the 5 metrics when we don't include the debt on here. So that was interesting. BitDigital, or we got BitDigital here, Bitfarms here in the 4th spot, CleanSpark in the 5th spot on both of these. Hut, 8. Here we got Argo, Riot, Core, Argo, Greenidge, Hive in the same spot, Marathon, and then we got Sphere 3D up here. Marathon, Hut 8, Sphere 3D, Digihost, Greenidge, DMG, Digihost, DMG, Soluna, obviously Mawson, and they're at the very end there. So that is my ranking on those. Let me know if you guys think that I should include any other metrics in this. Those are the metrics that I'm kind of looking at when looking at the miners. So obviously I'm invested in Bitfarms, CleanSpark, Hive. I've owned since like 2018, 2017, so I'm still holding on to that, hoping that goes up even more, so then I can sell it in the next bull run. But I've been dollar cost averaging into CleanSpark, Bitfarms, and now I'm looking to get into Iris as well. But I got to find out on Iris if they're actually going to be growing the extra to, I think it was 15 exahash they want to grow to. If they're not, and they're only going to be getting to about 6 exahash or 7 exahash, well, that's not as much growth, but they're still doing really well here. So that's something I got to look into. As always, let me know what you guys thought of this, what your thoughts are on this, and that is it. If you guys enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. The spreadsheet is available to my Patreons. I'll get this uploaded once I get the video uploaded to YouTube, and then we'll see what happens tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. Have a great night. I'll see you guys in the next one.